You a big Michael Douglas fan?
Yeah, huge.
What do you like most about his work?
Well, usually it's so dangerous, and I hear he's more of an amiable character in here, so it'll be interesting to see. Michael always plays that real. He's got the beautiful suits on, and he looks a little lethal, and you're not quite sure. His character. You're like Gordon Gekko. You're kind of intimidating, but I hear this one. He looks more affable, probably more close to the way he is in real life. Which, to the extent I know him, he seems like a very genial fellow.
Now, in this film, he's kind of a guy who broke out with early success and then was scared about following that up. Has that ever happened to you in your career?
Well, when I was younger, I did a lot of trapeze work in Bavaria, and I was thought to be one of the preeminent wiremen in the business. Naturally, I peaked early, and you don't see much of it. Although, if you encourage me, I might jump up on this velvet rope and do a little for Hollywood.com.
You're kidding, really? Thank you. Is there any good career advice you've given your son?
I'm now asking him for advice. I think he knows more than I do, and he's doing a good job, and I'm very anxious to see Wonder Boy because I've heard lots of good things about it.
Are you guys going to be in a movie together ever?
We are still talking about being a movie together. Maybe we'll find one with a father that has a stroke and has slurred speech.
Kind of like Michael's character, did you have any fear about following up such a successful film like LA Confidential?
That's the kind of fear you always want to have. Michael's character is sort of paralyzed by it, but frankly, I felt so blessed by the success that I enjoyed on LA Confidential that it was kind of liberating and empowering and really made me feel that I wanted to make another movie that was equally as personal. The difference is this picture's funny.
Bob Dylan, you're turning a bit hip here, sir.
Well, I am a product of the 60s. By the way, if you get a chance, his music video that Curtis directed on this picture is fantastic. It's really, really good, and I get to lip sync Bob Dylan, which is one of the biggest thrills in my life.
Something to show your son or daughter later in life?
Something to show my son or daughter later in life, exactly.
And obviously,
see Daddy with Bob, right?
That'd be cool. You mentioned the fund. Tonight's event is actually raising money for an important fund. Explain that.
Plowshares. Plowshares is an organization been around for 20 years, which works for reducing the threat of weapons of destruction, weapons of war. And like last year, they gave about $2.5 million to 111 different organizations through grassroots, public education, the media, all different things, lobbying organizations. And my dad and I, we started last year the Douglas Family Fund, and with Plowshares, we got about $500,000 towards reducing the threat of nuclear weapons.
Could you turn down Hollywood and just concentrate on this now? You're passionate about it.
I do. Well, I mean, I'm making only less than one picture a year, and in my free time, I'm spending it on working on the threat of nuclear weapons.
What was the draw to your character, sir?
The draw to my character was I got to wear a pink woman's bathrobe for half a movie, and I got a couple of laughs.
Real happy to see you on the screen again. It's been a couple years since Madeline.
Yeah, been doing some theater. That stuff nobody ever talks about.
Now, the interesting thing is your relationship with Michael Douglas. You don't really see, adults have the crisis with a pregnancy and
Exactly.
And like that.
Exactly. That's the most. That's what drew me to it. I like that aspect of it, having kind of being forced into a situation that, and a weirdly kind of teenage 18-year-old thing, crisis that people hear about, but not when you're 42 and 54.
Many people are saying this is a risky role for Michael to take. Do you think that?
Not for an actor, and he is one.
And what about pine on the pounds and pot smoking? It's hardly glamorous or sexy.
Oh, kind of fun. Yeah, soft and fuzzy and warm. What's wrong with that?
He's attracting nice 30-year-old Welsh women, so he must be sexy.
I'd say, yeah.
How do you balance your film career with your family?
One day at a time. One day at a time. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I hope we're doing okay. We'll find out when he's in therapy at 35, I guess.
What are your feelings about Robert Downey Jr.?
I love him. I can't wait to work with him again. I didn't really get to work with him that much on this. So I want his life to get better so I can.
And for us, we were just doing a piece on preparation for the Oscars, how people prepare for speeches and stuff, something that you know about. Is it a big ordeal preparing for an award show?
You know what the most important thing about that, I think, is that it's not television, it's theater. It's a big, big house. And if you're facing that audience, you got to be prepared to do some theater.
So you sat there preparing your speech beforehand?
No, but I've done theater.
How are you doing tonight?
Very good. Happy to be here.
Can you talk a little bit about your role in the film?
About this film?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I know it's going to be terrific.
Now, what have you been
I
up
know
to?
it is. I've heard that.
You haven't seen it yet?
Curtis Hanson, where'd you hear that? I said, the buzz is good, boss. He said, yeah, right. No, it is.
You haven't seen the film yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, what was it like though, the whole entire process?
It was bitter cold in Pittsburgh, and I had played there in the theater when it used to be the Gates of Hell. It is now a very beautiful city, and I was so happy to see Michael again. We knew each other at various stages of our career, and we just saw each other and started laughing that we're still around. And I loved working with everybody on it.
Now the film is about kind of dealing with a kind of a midlife crisis also. How do you deal with, have you had any midlife crisis, and how do you deal with it?
I had a young life crisis and a adult crisis, and I have crises all the time. I came up here and changed my suit and forgot my tickets, so now I'm going to see whether or not I can get in the show.
Thank you so much.
The thing is it's 4 months of my life, so I learn all kinds of things.
What about today?
What did I learn today? That's a good question.
What about from Michael Douglas? What was it like to work with him?
All this learning stuff. I learn things all the time, damn it, I swear. Michael Douglas is wonderful. You know, he's so engaging as an actor. He's a great actor. And he really kept me on my toes. You know, any day that I would come into work and I would feel intimidated or even a little tired, he would just get in there and reach in and shake me up, and he had idea after idea, and it was a blast working with him. It was a good set.
And a quick question, which is, you've worked with now two very famous and very well-respected Michaels. What's with that? And they're both sort of very well-respected, very talented.
I hate to disappoint you, but it's purely a coincidence, and the fact that it's a very common name could have something to do with it.
Thank you all very much.
All right. What do you think about Sutter House Rules?
I like it.